Good evening. Welcome to another edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show. My name is Leon Jones. Tonight's topic, Hybristophilia, is a psychological disorder that equals fatal love. Now, hybristophilia is a psychological disorder that involves a sexual attraction to those who have performed atrocities such as serial killers. You can classify it as the Bonnie and Clyde syndrome. And with this disorder, one can see the person contacting the serial killer and fantasizing about marrying the serial killer. Now, examples include groupies who were very infamous, such as Charles Manson and Richard Rodriguez. Now, hybristophilia is classified as a form of paraphilia. This is a wide class of problems where someone deviates from normal objects of desire. Now, other examples of such conditions include love of inanimate objects, humiliation, animals, and of course children, although in some cases what appears on the list depends on the culture. Homosexuality used to be on the list, but has been removed because times have changed. When it comes to hybristophilia itself, it may have been acceptable and perhaps even encouraged in some of the more brutal societies in history. Now, research in hybristophilia is basically still in its early stages because there is no agreed upon classification or method of diagnosis for the condition, never mind any insights to the underlying causes of the problem. One feature that is quite common in hybristophilia is that it is common that women are the ones who follow the males who have committed atrocities. There are two categories of the broad spectrum of this condition that must be put forward. Category 1 is passive hybristophilia. Now, examples of this include cases of the women writing to notorious serial killers while they're in prison, such as Peter Sutcliffe, also known as the Yorkshire Rapper, or Yorkshire Ripper. Now, in the UK, Peter Sutcliffe, known as the Yorkshire Ripper, murdered 13 women and he was convicted in 1981. The letters sent by these women give characters like Sutcliffe enjoyment and control over the women. They even believe that these serial killers would do them no harm. They also believe that they could rehabilitate these serial killers. That's why they make excuses for their past behavior. Now, category 2 is known as aggressive hybristophilia. This involves cases where the people attracted to the person who have committed the atrocities is basically sexually aroused by the acts themselves and wants to join in with them. This is the much darker form of the condition. The case of Myra Henley and her love for child killer Ian Brady and the help that she gave him in committing and covering up the murders is a classic example of this version of the disorder. The bottom line on hybristophilia of both categories is that a lot more research is needed on what is a disturbing condition. A dispute is in place as hybristophilia seems evidence or used to incriminate. This was true also for defining of homosexuality before it was altered and then removed from psychiatric text. Now, homosexuality was considered or classified as a mental disorder until the 1970s. Now, in the present day, 30 years post-understanding, homosexuals went from being social criminals in need of psychiatric care to normal citizens due to health care benefits to same-sex partners and possibly being able to marry. Now they are able to marry. And if you're a government worker, you can now seek same-sex health benefits for your partner. Now, when it comes to sex, it's basically an instinctual act. However, the practice of such can be social and environmental. While it is safe to write the formation of a sex life or sexual behavior, it's done from an individual's psychology/experience. That experience initiates a person or individual's forming of practices, oftentimes the individual not studied in psychology or typically could be acting according to subconscious nuances or things they, one, may have picked up. That does not mean in the street, however. Behaviors, subconscious or learned methods of to practice, it is also safe to write the things such as discrimination, social rejection, abuse, neglect due to an individual's sexual identity and the formation of such or subconscious instincts do in fact create a disposition. The dispute is that labeling behavior can at times be ambiguous in nature, or the terms actually are, as time progresses, being the definition isn't necessarily exact. As already discussed, homosexuality was considered a mental disorder up until the 1970s. This is changed by defining terms, and homosex as opposed to heterosex is no longer classified under a term to be treated as a psychiatric disability. Now again, the last 3 videos I have done have basically talked about sexual deviant behaviors. And one thing that is common is that there is basically no classification except for paraphilia. But when it comes to research, there's always going to be research done on psychological disorders because new ones are being created. That's why the DSM keeps being updated. I don't have a copy of the DSM, but if you want to know what DSM stands for, it is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual for Mental Health Orders. You can obtain a book from a psychologist, a psychiatrist. You can even find it online. But let me get something straight. I do these videos because I enjoy producing material, because there are not a lot of people, particularly in the black sector of YouTube, who are really talking about the root causes of the downfall of any society, and that is mental and psychological issues. Now, I want to put this out and be very clear. I take different articles, I read, and then I interpret. In other words, I don't read the article word for word. I basically look at the information and type it myself and basically utilize my own words. And the reason why I am saying this is because you have individuals who really don't take the time to look at the video. They comment because in their mind they feel it's their duty to do so, even if they don't understand the subject matter themselves. But when it comes to any type of disorder, again, I'm not one who can prescribe any medication to treat the symptoms. I'm a civil engineer by trade. However, it is necessary to understand the types of mental and psychological disorders that are around you. And you can also look at yourself, because your behavior is going to make you or break you no matter what society you live in. Most of us try to be peaceful, but there are a number of us who are sociopathic in nature. They have no value for their own lives, so they're not going to value anybody else. And you see that more and more as the deterioration of Western society is in effect. But has it always been this way? I believe it has. But there are a lot of these disorders that have basically been swept under the rug because people are too shameful and too proud to admit that they have a problem. Well, this order, Hybristophilia, is a big problem. And as you know, you had people like Myra, or Myra Henley, the one who was in love with a child killer. And that is a sick behavior. And there are classic movies out about Bonnie and Clyde and Richard Rodriguez, and of course, Charles Manson. In fact, Charles Manson seems to be held as some type of martyr. That's the sick people's minds. But in society, you're always going to have people like that. But what do you do as a person if you believe you have some of these symptoms? Because when it comes to a serial killer, most of us don't know what goes through a mind of a serial killer. So when it comes to Hybristophilia, most of us don't go through the mind of someone who has this psychological disorder. But one thing that is common, if you understand this disorder, you don't have to be a doctor. You don't have to be a psychiatrist. You don't have to be a mental health professional. But you can explain to any doctor or mental health professional the symptoms that you believe this person has, and it will make it easier for the mental health professional to diagnose the person, especially your loved one's behavior. So what I'm telling you is it's okay to not be a mental health professional, but understand the types of behaviors. Now, I might be going off topic a little bit, but when it comes to dating, a number of women like to date bad boys. And there are some guys out there that like to date bad girls. It's a fantasy. But the problem is, it's a fantasy, it's not reality. You cannot, if you don't understand the symptoms of these individuals who create atrocities such as serial killing, you don't understand their mental state. So you're relying on your emotions, which cloud critical thinking, to help make a judgment or a decision whether this person is going to be good for you or not. And I'm picking on dating because this is more like dating. And one thing that I always tell every man and woman, certainly we do look at the outside, but overall it's the inside that makes the person. And if you find that a person is unstable, two things you can do. You can get them help, that's if they want help, or you must walk away. Why? Because you could end up a victim from these unstable people. So the bottom line, you don't have to be a mental health professional to study mental health issues. And for any of you individuals, you trolls out there who want to leave nasty comments, it's not going to be allowed on this channel because I've had some. If you don't respect what a person is saying, by all means, you don't have to come to an individual's channel. And like I said, if you like my videos, you can always give me a thumbs up. If you don't like them, give me a thumbs down. Either way, I'm going to keep producing material because individuals need to understand mental health issues because they're real. And some of you trolls out there might have some mental health issues yourself. See, it's easy to be a soldier when there's no war. In other words, you can sit on the sideline and criticize other people. But when you have to get in the game, it's a different story. So please, when it comes to anybody's channel, be respectful. You don't have to agree with the material. And on my channel, I am not here to denigrate. I'm just here to give you information. And as a civil engineer, yes, I could sit up here and do civil engineering videos all day, and most of you, particularly in the black sector, would not even understand anything that I'm saying. See, I'm not on my channel looking for views and ratings because I have a regular job. I have my own business. I just like to do this because it educates me on how I can look at myself and other people, because it's important that I study these behaviors, because when I hire people or when I date, I want to know the mental state of the people, and you should too. And if you don't believe me, if you have cable, look at shows like ID, Investigation Discovery. You will find out how mentally disturbed some of these people are. But going back to anybody, if you believe you have a disorder, you're not going to be shamed for it unless you shame yourself. Because the prideful thing to do is seek help. And when you do that, you can not only save yourself, but you can save others from destruction of their lives and your life. And that's my commentary for this edition of the 411 Talk Zone radio show for this evening, Thursday, June 29th, 2017. You can tune in to the 411 Talk Zone radio show every Saturday from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. on Blog Talk Radio. Guest call-in number is 215-383-5785. If you like my videos, please share and subscribe to the 411 Talk Zone radio show right here on YouTube so I can continue to give you quality information for educational purposes from a professional and mature perspective. Now on this channel, again, I don't engage in emotion, debates, or controversial issues, nor do I participate in drama and or unnecessary bickering because it's counterproductive. What I'm here to do on my channel is teach, because if you don't have any idea of how the real world works, you're going to fail. Because from my perspective, the information that I provide to you is researched, and I also give you my own personal experiences, because knowledge is power. And what you get on this channel is issues that are realistic but positive. Now also, if you have a business, a topic, or a new YouTube channel that you would like for me to discuss on YouTube or Blog Talk Radio, please email me at lej6521@gmail.com. And if you have a comment, please leave your comment in the comment section under the video. But make sure that your comments are pithy. No bloviating, pettifogging, or filibustering. Now that's it for this video. Till next time, my name is Leon Jones. Remember, please be gentle and respectful to each other, and have a wonderful and blessed evening. Good night.